Okay, so the last section in this chapter is finishing up all of these trig identities. Now, good news, bad news. We have some more identities. That's the good news. The bad news is I'm not going to make you memorize all of them. You do not need to memorize the power reducing identities, the product sum identities, or the sum to product identities. Everything else on the page you must memorize, including the extra sine cosine properties for Pythagorean, which is sine squared theta equals 1 minus cosine squared theta, and cosine squared theta equals 1 minus sine squared theta. Okay, so you need to memorize those two extras. These others, there you go. In fact, there they are right there. These two you do not necessarily need to memorize. This one will be just fine. Do need to make your addition to the 1 minus tan alpha, tan beta here. What's in your book. It's just it doesn't happen to be on this sheet. But the half angles, you have to memorize. The double angles, all the rest of them, just not power reducing, product sum, or sum to product. But you will still need to be able to use them given a sheet. So for example, this is a product. I know that because they're multiplied together. So if I have something in the form of cosine alpha times cosine beta, and there's no rest of the property that would make it a sum or difference, that means that I'm going to be using this property right down here. And it's going to be 1/2 cosine of alpha minus beta plus cosine of alpha plus beta. There we go. So if alpha is 3 theta and beta is just theta, then we're going to go with 1/2 of bracket cosine 3 theta minus theta minus plus cosine of 3 theta plus theta. And so here we go, 1/2 of cosine 4 theta plus cosine, 2 theta, because 3 minus 1 is 2 theta. And there you go. That is as simplified as it gets. Now, let's go to the other side. This is a difference, and it has two different pieces here together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 3 out so I don't have to mess with it. And I'm going to say cosine of 6 theta minus cosine 4 theta. With that, I'm going to go over here to my properties, and I have an alpha and a beta, and I have cosine, cosine, and minus. So it's going to be this theorem right here. Cosine alpha minus cosine beta equals -2 sine alpha plus beta over 2 sine alpha minus beta over 2. Okay, so if this is alpha and that's beta, I'm going to say -2 sine of 6 theta plus 4 theta all over 2 sine 6 theta minus 4 theta all over 2. And just because I had my 3 out here to begin with, I need to slap another big 3 on the front of it. So I have 3 times -2 sine 5 theta, because 6 plus 4 is 10. And divided by 2 is 5. Sine 2 theta divided by 2 is theta. There we go. And that's my answer for that. So you still need to be able to put them to work. A lot of times they're kind of pointless because what you really have is a combination of previous theorems. So, for example, if I were to deal with this one, I have cosine of 4x and cosine 2x, I'm simply going to change them into half-angle properties anyway and start going to work on that. So they're just a combination of other properties. The same thing happens up here. They're just a combination of other properties. But again, you just need to be able to plug in from what you're given. Using the sheet, you do not have to memorize them. So, with that, you have a couple of those and might even have a couple homework problems, but you do not have to memorize those three groups. Okay.